Hello, everyone. Thank you to neighbors, friends, and families for asking me to do this. And make sure to go to their website for any resources after, during, whatever works for you for this chat. Now, we're doing a really fun giveaway. So if you want to win one of these awesome period sweaters, all you have to do is comment below saying you're watching, and you could be in to win this sweater for free, which is really cool. So make sure to do that right now, of course. And they will message you if you won this sweater. Don't worry. Now, I'm really excited to chat about menstrual equity, and then we're going to kind of transition into how important it is to support one another. And of course, I'm going to start by introducing myself and here for her and why I am even on this thing. So please, if you have any questions, please comment below. I will do my best to answer them as I go. Normally, for these talks, it's on the computer. However, we had some technical difficulties, so I'm doing it on my phone. So hopefully, I can still see all the comments and stuff. So please, if you have a question, please comment, and I will do my best to answer it as I go. And if you have any questions and you want to message privately, you can go to shophereforher.ca and you can find our email there, and we can go back and forth in more of a private setting. So let's begin. Okay, so my name is Rachel Ettinger. I do mornings full-time on Virgin Radio London, so radio, and I'm the creator of Here for Her, and I'm also doing my MBA part-time at Laurier in Waterloo, which is really, really exciting. Busy, but exciting. So what is Here for Her, and what is this sweater all about? So basically, Here for Her is a social enterprise that inspires people and encourages them to take control of their health and challenge norms. So how do we do that? We do that in many ways, actually. There's many ways to be involved, but basically it's mostly on Instagram. That is our main platform, at Shop Here for Her. We have clothing, obviously, as you can see this shirt. And we do community pop-ups and events. One being, for example, we have a big event on Saturday with Commonwealth Coffee Co., which is on Richmond in downtown London, and all latte proceeds are going towards Anova. So that's an example of an event we will do. We'll team up in the community and do a really fun event where it takes basically, 2 seconds to make a difference in somebody's life. And so all you have to do that day is purchase a latte, and all the proceeds are going to Anova. And we're also doing uterus latte art, which is really, really cool. Just saying, but wanted to do that for a while. Back to how you can get involved. We have volunteer events, and basically on Instagram, which is the main platform for Here for Her, you can ask questions. There are health professionals on there that kind of blog about how you can take control of your health. So imagine a doctor, a physio, a chiropractor, a dietitian. All of these health professionals come on and tell you how you can, in just easy steps, take control of your health. Or maybe about things like pelvic floor physios. You didn't even know what that was, or you don't know what that means. They'll help you understand. Of course, you can blog about experiences you're going through, or maybe you have questions about something. You can promote events going on in your community. Now, of course, I'm local here in London, Ontario, Canada, but really I'm trying to make this a Canada-wide movement where we're chatting about our health. And so if you have any event going on in any city in Canada, I do my best to promote that as long as I know about it. We do a lot of advocacy in the community, which we will get to in a little bit. And so I guess the common question I always receive is, how did Here for Her come to be, and what is the period sweater, and what does all of that mean? So there's a lot of answers to that, actually, but the easiest one is that I grew up in a very non-judgmental environment. My mom is a nurse, and we would just chat about everything. She educated us about our health, and I went off to university thinking kind of like that was the norm. And I realized once I got there, living with 6 girls, that it's not the norm, and a lot of people didn't have that type of upbringing. They would start asking me questions about health, and then I just end up asking my mom, and even some of my friends would talk to my mom directly about questions about their health, which was really, really cool. So then I got into media, and I had this platform, and I thought, wow, this would be really cool to use this platform, to do something helpful in the social media world and in the community. Then mixed in with a gynae issue. So when I moved to London, it'll be 3 years ago now, I had a gynae issue, and kind of the stigma around gynae issues is, well, it's either an STI or you're pregnant. It's one or the other. What else could it possibly be? So I moved to London having no family doctor. I was going in and out of walk-in clinics for months trying to figure out what was going on with me, and it was not an STI, and I was not pregnant. So it was like horrifying for me. I was embarrassed, and me, a quite confident young girl, and I had taken care of my health, and I knew what was going on. I knew it wasn't one of those two things. And even I felt super stigmatized and embarrassed and insecure about what was going on with my body. And I thought, wow, if I feel that way, I can only imagine how others feel. And I remember whispering to the lady at the walk-in clinic so that nobody heard, what was going on, even though it's not my fault, it's my health. So that mixed with being in media kind of prompted me to start Here for Her. So Here for Her started in July of 2017. And I actually had the idea for about a year. I had a bunch of ideas and I just didn't know how to put it together. And then I had that gynae issue. So that's when I decided to move forward and actually start Here for Her. And so Here for Her is not just about women's health and menstruation. That's kind of how it started. I mean, July 2017 it started, and then the Me Too movement and everything came out in October, which was amazing, thank goodness. And it was a lot, like we were calling it the period movement, the feminist movement. And so I felt at the time was necessary to chat about women's health, which it still is, of course. But I am trying to move in Here for Her more into a space where it's inclusive of all individuals, and I'm more focused on physical and mental health. So just the health of all individuals and creating a safe space where people don't feel so alone. And we're chatting about things we typically wouldn't chat about in the past, or maybe didn't feel comfortable talking about, or we only talked about to our best friend or our mom. This is something these are things we don't need to be ashamed of, that we're just chatting about and sharing experiences, because guaranteed if you're going through it, many of us have gone through it too, or we have gone through something similar. So that's kind of what Here for Her is. It's also about challenging norms. So examples of topics we might blog about or someone may share an experience about would be, breakups, anxiety, depression, body image issues. We have dietitians on there talking about health at every size, infertility, eating disorders, choosing not to have kids, choosing not to get married. Pregnancy, all of the above, being a parent for the first time, all of these things. And it I find Here for Her, hopefully, is an empowering space, and that when people feel empowered to take control of their health, it filters into other areas of their life. And I think that's kind of at the core what Here for Her is. And I hope to continue evolving as it has evolved so much in the past 2 years. So I just have notes here so that I don't ramble forever, because that is something I easily do. Now, a big initiative that we worked on within the past 2 years was our menstrual equity initiative. So this is really exciting, and hopefully you can get something out of this. What is menstrual equity? Why is it important? Why is menstruation an equity issue? So this all happened about 2 years ago. I was introduced to Matt Zarita, who works at the Thames Valley District School Board. He's a great friend, mentor of mine. He's a wonderful human. He has taught me a lot about all issues, a lot of equity issues, not just menstruation. And so we were connected through a colleague. And so we ended up teaming up with my full-time job, Virgin Radio, Here for Her, of course, Tampon Tuesday, and Thames Valley District School Board to run a pilot project in the school board, the public school board, for providing menstrual products for free in all gender-neutral washrooms. So it started as just a pilot project with 26 high schools within the public school board, and 13 alternate education classrooms. And so we started it that way, and we kicked it off. It was fantastic. And then it evolved into, all these other things, which I will speak to in a second. But okay, menstrual equity. So hopefully this will be easy to understand, and perhaps you will be looking at menstrual equity and menstruation a different way after this. Hopefully I will succeed at explaining kind of why menstruation is an equity issue. So starting with students, because this is really, really important, and this is why this pilot project was so important. If students don't have access to menstrual products, so if their guardians cannot afford to provide menstrual products for them, they will not go to school. They will miss out on opportunities. They will miss out on band practice. They will miss a quiz. They will miss a basketball practice, whatever it is, because if you don't have a product, you need to go immediately, and students are going to go home. And now, once again, I want to clarify that menstruation is not just limited to females, of course. There are individuals out there that menstruate that do not identify as female. So that's where the gender neutral washroom comes in, especially in schools. But menstruation menstrual equity is an equity issue because these individuals that menstruate are being denied opportunities, especially at school. So, and they're being marginalized due to their health. So I remember this in high school. I remember hearing if you don't have a product, you can just go to the office and ask for a tampon or pad. Okay, we all know nobody is going to go to the office. That is humiliating, embarrassing. Also, what if they don't have the right brand that you're used to? What if they only have tampons and you don't use tampons, you only use pads? This is something that if someone menstruates, they would never make this suggestion because that's never going to happen. Basically, if an individual, especially someone that's going to school of school age, doesn't have a product, maybe they're getting their period for the first time, they have no idea what to do, they're leaving and probably going home because that would be the safest space for them or wherever they feel comfortable. Maybe they're going to ask a friend if they have a product. Maybe the friend won't have a product. This is a huge issue. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's not fair that some families, can't provide this for their child that happens to be of school age. It's not fair that some people can afford menstrual products and some can't. So that's kind of a way to describe it, and especially with trans individuals that are already nervous about going to a certain washroom. This is, already not going to happen now because they're already nervous about going to a certain washroom, and now they have to go. They're not sure where the menstrual products are, and it's not going to happen. So students need to have access to free menstrual products, especially in an environment in a learning environment such as school, so that they feel comfortable. So that's kind of why menstrual products at school is so important. And it's no longer actually a pilot project with Thames Valley District School Board. It is now something they're doing 24/7 and supplying in their high schools. I think they announced this. Someone can correct me below, but I believe it was September of this year. We had done the pilot project for a year. I had chatted about it on Virgin Radio, got some hype about it, which is like brilliant because, of course, this affects everyone, whether you menstruate or not. And so it's wonderful that Thames Valley District School Board sees why this is important. And again, we can't be denying certain individuals an education or opportunities just because they're menstruating. It hurts my heart because, and I will get into this a little bit later, but we have all had that time where we weren't prepared. And imagine if you also couldn't afford to purchase menstrual products, or your parents didn't give you any menstrual products. That would be horrific. So other school boards need to start doing this as well. I'm calling you out. You know who you are. I've really tried to reach out to the other school boards and I haven't received any response. So it would be really great if other school boards could get on this because it's super important. And in my brain, and hopefully less than 5 years, every school will be providing free menstrual products because they will see how important this is for children. Okay, so moving into, that was the pilot project. And then Matt Sarita, who was wonderful, suggested I present in front of the DIAC committee at the City of London. So I didn't really know what that was. And I was like, okay. And I was prepared and I presented. And then that was passed. And then we took it to City Council and we proposed in front of the City of London our menstrual equity proposal. And it was unanimously passed. And it was so beautiful because every City Council committee member even didn't just say yes, they said yes and why. So whether they menstruate or not, they saw how important this was for all individuals, whether they had children involved or they had a story of when they were younger or their siblings, whatever it was a really, really, really beautiful moment. And I was so proud and grateful that they all saw this as such a necessity in the city. So as of April 2019, which is when it was passed, but then officially rolled out this fall by the City of London. Claps to the City of London. London is the first city in Canada to provide free menstrual products in all publicly accessible city-owned buildings. So we're talking arenas, libraries. You will see the sticker, and it will tell you whether or not a washroom has menstrual products in it or not. So what they've done in older buildings where there aren't perhaps any gender-neutral washrooms, they have provided products in both the female and male washrooms, which again is a start. And of course, thank goodness. And hopefully and in the new buildings, they're provided in the gender-neutral washroom. So it is so amazing, and kudos to all the committee members and the council members, because it was so wonderful. And for London to be such a pioneer and such an important issue is amazing. And now moving into menstrual equity being an equity issue, if we don't look at it with students, but we look at it with all other individuals, I'm going to phrase it this way. So every person who menstruates at any age, it doesn't matter your social status, has had a time where they were not prepared. And they either had to head home, perhaps leave work, leave school, head home to go get a product, ask a friend, and maybe the friend had something, especially something that you're comfortable using, or maybe you had to run to Shoppers Drug Mart to grab a product so that you didn't have an embarrassing situation on your hands. And it's just mind-boggling that many, for so long we didn't challenge this norm. And so many people have for so long and have done such amazing work. And it's just now that it's starting to get traction, which is unfortunate, but thank goodness. And, this is our health. We shouldn't be marginalized for it. It's just insane. And it's not just students. Many of us I remember being at university and hiding my tampon in my pocket or hiding my tampon in this massive purse that I would take to the washroom during class. And then I remember in high school, I was so focused on my period and I was so anxious all the time. Like I didn't know how long will this tampon last me, or what's going to make sense for my schedule today? Well, I have 5 minutes between my quiz and the homework we're getting to go to the washroom. Oh, but then I have to ask to use the washroom during class and everyone's going to know. It's so embarrassing. Like this was my brain, and I know I'm not the only one. In elementary school and high school, and then if you mix sports in there, it was, oh goodness, like is this going to last me till halftime? Or it was just so stressful, and it doesn't need to be, and it hurts my heart because I was one of the lucky ones. I had access to free menstrual products. My family provided them for me, and currently I'm able to afford them for myself, and I'm lucky, and I still was so stressed all the time and anxious. And think about if you were that way and then didn't have products. Could you imagine? It's horrific. So that's why this is so important. And I even know at age 28 right now, I still have times when I'm not prepared. And I either, use toilet paper just to get home, or, run into Shoppers Drug Mart, or again, ask a friend, because I'm a little bit more comfortable asking a friend now because I'm older. And it's just so real. And if you want to comment below and get into the discussion, please do, because I think we've all been there. We've all had a time where we were super embarrassed, we were unprepared, and it's just something that doesn't need to continue to happen that way. And so just as, in washrooms, they provide toilet paper and paper towel, sometimes the hand dryer, but most of the time paper towel. Those are seen as necessity products. That's the crazy part here. Those are seen as necessity products, whereas, menstrual products are seen as luxury items, where we all know that, having a period is not a luxury. So it's time to flip the script. And, businesses, all cities, schools should be providing menstrual products for free, just like we do paper towel, toilet paper, because it's the same thing. It's just as important. It's our health. And it's also the dignity and pride of individuals. They should never have to choose between, eating for dinner or having a menstrual product. It's horrific and it's awful. And that's the reality for many individuals in London. So kudos to the City of London and making this happen, because it is amazing. And again, if you have any questions about menstrual equity, Sarnia was just approved, the City of Sarnia. KW is being worked on right now. Halifax is doing it in libraries. If you have any more questions about that kind of stuff, BC School Board, the Public School Board, has initiated all of this already. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know and I can give you more information on that. And now transitioning really quickly, of course I went longer on menstrual equity because I got into it. Now moving into how does this connect to supporting one another? Oh, okay. In so many ways, I wouldn't have been able to do half the things that I've been able to done with Here for Her without support. I moved to London 3 years ago. I literally didn't know anyone. I knew one person, but then I was going through a horrible breakup. It was like pretty much the worst time in my life. And I basically channeled all of my passion and energy into Here for Her and something positive. I randomly asked people, I totally DM'd people on Instagram to meet for coffee. I just wanted to learn more. Entrepreneurs in the city, I just asked them if they had 10 minutes to talk on the phone. I just totally cold called people and started making genuine relationships with individuals. And it has turned into so much more than I ever expected. London has been very receptive of Here for Her. And just with the city size, it's a great place to make an impact. And it kind of, I've made all of these relationships, and without that, I wouldn't have been able to do what I've been able to do with Here for Her. I met a lot of these people through friends, or I cold called them, or I, went to coffee for them. And this can kind of translate into more of a personal level, not just with business, but it also small business and community networking as well. But here's something I have learned. On a personal level, you are not in competition with anyone. Now, I'm not talking about big business. I'm not talking about elite athletes. I'm just talking about what I have learned in the past, 5 years. it's so important because whether you're, you own a gym or you're a physio or a small business owner, like we all have something different and unique to offer. And the more I network and the more I meet people and the more I mature, I have started to realize that the more you love yourself, so the more you work on your internal self-love and confidence, that trickles down and affects all of your relationships. And if there's something I could tell someone about like the past 5 years, that's what I would say I have learned so much about, because the more content and confident I am, which is a lot of work and it's a work in progress, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying that, the more I attract like-minded individuals, and kind of like we all recognize our strengths and weaknesses and we want to help each other and we want to bring each other up. And that's what I find has worked a lot for me in the community, especially with collaborating on events like the one this Saturday. We're both so excited about it because it's going to help us both. And, we're going to raise a ton of money for Inova, and it's just a win-win for everybody. And we both genuinely enjoy each other's company, and we have a friendship and relationship, and that's so important. And it applies to, school projects or, at work. Like, it's just something that I've been able to apply to different parts of my life. And I wish that I had known, when I was younger, I had understood that better, because I'm so glad I continue to put the work on myself. The more confident I am, the more happy I am internally, the happier I am with other people, or the happier I project that, the more I project my happiness onto others. And I find your relationships will just evolve naturally, and people will want to be around you, and they will recognize that, and your gang will kind of like create itself, your support system. And I have learned a lot about that in the past few years, and not comparing myself to others. That's really important in any way. And I really truly feel that everybody can be successful in their own right. Of course, it's good to, set goals and focus on how you want to improve or how you want to be better, a better version of yourself, or improve your business, of course. But I think internally, all of that work will lead to external success. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's so true. And I know it's one of those things maybe you learn as you get older, but I just feel that everybody has their own lane in order to be successful, and we all offer something different. And so I'm always very focused on what I can do to be better, and I literally don't even focus on what's going on, around me in terms of, competition or in my job or at school. I'm just kind of focused on my own improvement, which is something I have learned. Now, how can you be involved in Here for Her? You stay tuned for the podcast coming out on Instagram. You can comment, DM us, be as involved as you want, come out to our event on Saturday, and just support all individuals. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's so important to support each other, and also to chat about health and other stigmatized topics with your children, with your family, with your friends. Like, just start these conversations, especially with children, because the younger they are, the more they can understand and educate themselves, the more they're educated and they can make informed decisions, which is really, really important, especially when it comes to health. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, I'm just looking here hopefully I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, some people are saying we've all had a time where we've been super embarrassed, especially with menstruation. It's not talked about. Even now in my 20s, I still feel uncomfortable. Totally, and that's more normal than not. I'm 28, as I said, and because I do this, I'm obviously comfortable chatting about menstruation, but a lot of my friends aren't, or are just starting to be more comfortable about it. And it's just wild because it's your health. And I mean, it's the same with mental health. Of course, the stigma there is just slowly going away, which is fantastic. The more we talk about it, the more awareness there is, the more action on all of this. And so that's my biggest thing, is educating on all of these health issues, and then hopefully that will, make you want to take action when it comes to controlling your health. So hopefully all of this makes sense. Again, if you have any questions, please comment below. If you want to share some stories about times where you were unprepared for your period, please do. We can go back and forth, because that's always a fun, it's funny now, not at the time, but feel free to comment on that. And if you want to win a free period sweater, please comment below saying you're watching, and hopefully you could win that sweater. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.